Hi everyone, my name is Ingram, Realtor with Realty One Group Complete, your local realtor for both Sacramento and Placer County. So today I'm starting a new segment on my YouTube channel, and that is my Business Highlights series, where I go to local businesses or speak with individual business owners and share with you all of the wonderful things that they are doing in the area so that you can get to know them better. And I hope that you enjoy these videos. Stay tuned for this next one coming up. Today you're in for a treat. I have a very special guest who's joining me on my channel. She is no stranger to the home environment. With her degree and background in interior design, as well as her current work as a Feng Shui consultant, along with her own intuitive abilities, you are going to get the best of both worlds. So if you have any energy that just feels off in your home, maybe blocked, or you just want to create an overall positive atmosphere or a welcoming space, then she is your go-to person to answer these questions and more. So I'd like to introduce to you Susan Hansen. Susan, thank you so much for being on my channel and joining me today.
Thank you, Autumn. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
All right, so let's dive in. So if you could just tell everyone, what is Feng Shui?
Feng Shui is the Chinese art of energy flow. So it translates to wind and water. And if you walk into a garden, especially a Zen garden, you'll notice the different textures in water to rock, to plant, to flower, to wind chimes. And it's so subtle, but it's just this very calming, peaceful place to be. And so, and I agree, I think that having interchangeable energy in your space is so, so important, not only to your home environment, but certainly to your office or your business environment. And especially if we're talking about, well, we will be talking about moving into real estate, how important it is for a home to have really beautiful Feng Shui in order to sell.
Well, that was my next question, Susan, is how do we get to that point where you go into a home and you feel that important flow of energy, that Feng Shui environment that you're talking about?
Well, because of my natural intuitive abilities, I can read energy really well. I can read people, I can read a space. And so when we walk into a home, I know how it feels. I'll know if it feels stuck, if there's negativity, if there's sadness, because the home is a let's assume that the home is a living being, and it absorbs and it breathes and it responds to the occupants in the home. So for instance, if a family has to sell their home because they're going through a divorce and there's been a lot of turmoil and there's been a lot of upheaval, the home will hold that energy. Energy is everything. So it just transcends, it just transforms. So that's where energy gets stuck. It gets stuck in furniture. It gets stuck in spaces. And so we always have to look at, initially, how do we feel when we walk into a home?
So with that said, me as I don't have this intuitive ability that you have, but like what kind of things would I pick up on that would indicate that there's something negative in the home or some kind of block that is happening where I would want to contact you or want to see what's going on?
Yeah, that's a great question. And you know what? You say that you don't have intuitive abilities, but you know how to feel. See, everybody knows how to feel. Everybody knows what their emotions are if they're really honest with themselves. So 99% of the time, if you walk into your space and you feel negative, depressed, sad, angry, anything other than peaceful and calm over a period of time. We all have bad days, so I don't mean someone walking in the house and feeling icky. That's different. But a general rule is consistently, how do you feel when you go home? How do you feel? And you know, a lot of that has to do with the relationships that you interact with on a day-to-day basis. And that's a whole different topic of conversation. But nonetheless, your home does absorb all energy and it can get stuck. So did I answer that question? That everybody actually is intuitive because everyone knows how they feel.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knows how they feel.
And I could agree with you on that. So we had previously had a conversation by Zoom like we're doing today, and we were just going over my home environment at that time. Mm-hmm. And you were picking up on little areas in the home and suggested some changes that I could make. And even though I didn't see it at the time, there is a feeling that is tied to that because I felt in my home space something shifted. It became lighter for me, or even more peaceful and calm when I enter the home now. It's not so much stuff around, it's more clear and open. So that's
a great example, Autumn, because here's the thing. We're fresh eyes going into a home. You're the realtor, I'm the consultant. So we have fresh eyes on a room where a client may say, what do you mean my beautiful collection of grandchildren's pictures all over the fireplace mantle? Why is that appealing? Because it's clutter. To someone's fresh eyes, you may think, oh, that's very comforting, but we're trying to sell your home. We're trying to move the space. And so we want someone who walks in going, oh, a clean mantle, or no clutter, or do we have to have stacks of magazines on the floor? No. In fact, we never should. That's one of and we can chat about all the different kind of basic rules of Feng Shui, but you want to remove clutter. Mm-hmm. Clutter, eye clutter. Let's just start with eye clutter. And so even for people listening to this video now, for them to, when we're done, look around your home. What book has been sitting there that you haven't read in 6 months? Move it out. What piles of boxes that you haven't unpacked yet? Unpack them. There's always things that we just let go or forget about, but it collects energy and it starts to compound. And then we're sitting in our home and going, oh, what is it? Much like you gave the example, it uplifted you. You right. felt lighter. You felt lighter because you removed and I liked your objects. They meant something to you, but maybe just in that arrangement, it was just too much static energy.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And it could also be my space where I'm in right now, where I don't have a ton of room in here. So it's that collection of bunched up energy all in that one spot. Once I removed it, it was opening. And
yeah. And that's a good point too, because you mentioned the size of your space. It really has nothing to do with the size of your space. It really doesn't. It's how you display certain items that will either break up the energy or keep them held, because we all love our objects. I love my prized possessions. Mm-hmm. You love your little objects, the little elephant and so forth that we had you just move and what have you. So it's not that you have to pack them away and get rid of them. It's, do they belong in that space? Do they belong sitting where they are, blocking the flow of energy? So, yeah.
So going back to the real estate environment, yeah. This is not an uncommon conversation for me to have with my clients when I go into the home and I'm getting to the point of listing their home. Like, it's very important for me as a realtor to make sure that that space is welcoming and inviting when it comes to potential buyers coming in. So, working with you to make sure that that space is ready to go is of value, because that buyer, when they walk in and see it, they want to, like you said, get rid of grandma's photos and take that stuff off the fridge and clear the It's like going into a model home of a new home build. Like, they don't have it where it's very personal. It's a different space, right?
It is. You want to make sure that it's warm and inviting without being too, how do I say it? And this is not to offend Levitt's furniture, but when you walk into a Levitt store and everything is sort of just cookie cutter and everything just has its space.
Do they have those anymore?
We don't want that either, though. We don't want it to be so impersonal. So here's the thing. This is what we like to tell clients. Let's keep some of your personal items. Mm-hmm. If we want to stage it, let's use some of your stuff. So we're saving you money because we don't have to bring in furniture. We don't have to bring in objects. Right. We may have to shove some stuff up into a different room or have you move it into the garage or what have you. Especially for taking photographs of the home, I think is really important, because that's where the person first, well, I would imagine, looks is online. And it's those first pictures that catches someone's eye. So yeah, we can certainly keep some of the items that people have in their home and just shift them around. And it shocks people when they go, I never thought to put that chair there. What a difference it makes.
And there is a difference, like even placement. Now, talking about elements and things in the home, like you can reutilize people's stuff and just change the environment and space. As you had mentioned with your plant in the background, how that did the energy.
Right.
So, like, talk to me about the different elements and the things that you use in an environment to create this Feng Shui, this feeling in the home that brings in that good flowing energy.
We can use the elements of water. We can use the elements of sound, such as wind chimes. We can just shift certainly light plays a factor. If I walk into a home and they have the drape shut, why? Light is reflective. What is it bringing in? So we can use sometimes mirrors to also reflect light. So I think light is very important. Certainly smell, very important. When someone walks into a home, is it nummy? Or does it smell like your teenager's, basketball shoes?
Right.
This is because this is the first thing that we're, taking in. So light is important. Scent is important. Sound. So we can do it through water element, trickling of sound. We can certainly do it through wind chimes. There's all sorts of little tricks of the trade, really. Things that you may even have in your own home that will go, hey, let's pull that little fountain out. Let's change things around. With that said, there are certain structural issues that cannot be changed. Mm-hmm. If someone has a pillar in front of their door, and some doors do, because it's architecturally pleasing, but energy-wise, it blocks the flow. Or if you have a beautiful tree in your front yard, but it's blocking the front door, the view of your door, let me tell you right now, your front door is vitally important. The front door should be a different color from your home. It should be clean. It should have very little clutter around. A simple mat, if you will. Some people have a little fountain, little wind chimes, plants, as long as you don't overdo it. We're not going into Home Depot here. This is a simple, because when someone walks up to that space, it's open, it's clear, which means I can move forward into the home feeling open and clear, expecting that when I step into the door, I see light, things smell good, furniture's not, blocking places. So these are all just little tricks of the trade, really. But yeah, when it comes to structural things, there's nothing that we can do, so we can kind of work around that with wind chimes outside the front door, certain planters that we can sort of shift the eye to, where they go, oh, plant, that looks beautiful, and then we shift it to the door. But your front door is vital. And this is not only for home, this is for businesses too. When I walk up to a home or a business door and it's cluttered or it's got fingerprints, no. Mm-hmm. No. So it's cleaning up the space, because again, it's subtle energy that people don't realize how it affects us, and it does.
I think it does. Again,
I know it does.
That was a tip that you also gave me. Clear up my front door, and I did. I cleaned up that space, and I mean,
right.
Very minimal things out there. Pretty much just the doormat now, but it's open, it's clear, it's clean, it's easy to just flow into the home. And
that's exactly right. And people don't know, because Autumn had a cluster of really pretty plants. I don't know if they're flowers, but I think you just had plants. And here's the thing, they were all sort of
special.
They were what?
I have the Home Depot special, the layout.
She had the Home Depot special. But here's the thing, they were all sort of the same height. And so what's very important to also realize is change the height of plants, of like I did with this one. When you have higher things, it lifts the energy. When you have everything the same, it stays stagnant. So let's picture a fireplace mantle, which most people have in their home. If you go and look at your mantle, first of all, is there clutter? We got to remove that. But otherwise, what are the objects? Are there some at different heights? Are there some lower? How are they positioned? So yes, equally important to a front door is if you want plants, just have different height, just different levels, but don't have them so cluttered that it's going to feel blocked. It's going to feel cluttered for sure. It just will.
So
you will feel it, I promise you.
So does that go back to the yin and the yang and the balancing of the
That's
energy?
right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yin and yang of things. It's in and out, up and down, black and white, receptive, giving. It's all of the interchangeable. Remember, going back to Qi, which is energy, going back to Feng Shui, we're talking about interchangeable energy, which is vital. It's vital. I'm constantly shifting things in my home. Objects will move. This will shift out. One chair, I now move into another part of the house. Because even for myself, and I'm an intuitive, I can walk in and go, I need a change. Something needs to shift and change. And those little subtle moments, just those little tiny details, you walk in and go, have you ever brought home new bedding and your bedroom like, it's new? My bedroom is new. It feels new because we're changing the energy. We're changing it with color, with fabrics, with texture, and we've already talked about sound and so forth.
That's a way you use to freshen up a space, because that was another question that I had for you, is like the different techniques and ways of creating that good feng shui in the home, in the space. You talked about things that are not changeable, like a pillar in the home, but there are things that you have mentioned to me previously that you could share with the viewers that are something that you can change. Maybe it's a furniture placement or how you have things laid out in the home. If you could explain kind of those subtle small shifts and the difference that they make with the flow of energy.
Yeah, so one of the things I always, in any home I go to, do I walk into the back of furniture? But Susan, this is the only place it can go. No, that's not true. There's always choices in a home. So I would say, do you walk into the back of things? Are you constantly bumping into that end table? But that's where I keep my soda. Okay, well, let's get a smaller table then. Let's change something, because if you're constantly walking around something or after, and you don't even realize that you're feeling irritated. Why am I irritated? Because I keep bumping into that table? Oh, yeah. So we can shift things like that. The other pet peeve I have is furniture that is glued to the wall. I don't know where this thought came from. If we shift everything anchored to the wall, then I have more space in the center. What's happening there, though, is you're cluttering the wall and leaving the center not balanced. So I always say, let's bring in furniture closer. Let's bring it closer. There's always design choices. Always design choices. So that's a couple of things you always want area rugs to anchor. Always, always, always. So back of furniture, we already talked about the smells, bringing furniture away from the walls. Why do people hang pictures near the ceiling?
Giant guys, super tall.
And that's a great point, because I'll have couples that say, Susan, Charlie is 6'6" and I'm 5'6", and where do we put it? You place the picture in reference to the objects around it. So it's not about the height of the person. And some people say, oh, it's the height of the door, and no, it's what is around that picture. That's how you know where to place it. equally said, you don't place it too low either. So there is an art to, again, placement of objects and furniture that just make a difference. It just boggles my mind. And this is no judgment. Trust me, it's not a judgment. But I love watching these real estate shows, house hunters, and they show these pictures. Here's one here and here and here. And I'm thinking, what's happening? Why isn't the party all together? And people just don't have an eye. And again, that's not a judgment. I get it. I get it. That's why hiring someone such as yourself and perhaps bringing me in as a consultant is really imperative to selling a home. What do we remove from the walls? What can we shift and change? And equally, when they move into a new home, will they bring us in to help placement and putting things where they belong? So it's not just in selling the home. Where is that person going? And can we also help them in their new space as well?
So new spaces, sometimes you don't know what you're going to get. Sometimes you go into a home and you may pick up on this feeling, this vibe that's going on with the home. Maybe it's negative energy or a block. Like what techniques or things that you do that can help clear that space?
Well, if the owner allows, we can certainly smudge the space. If it is energy that is not being moved from objects and moving things out and away, then I always offer smudging, usually through a lit sage stick, because smoke is another element that just helps. Remember, it's connected to fire, which is one of the elements too. So it just breaks up the energy. So even people listening right now, they don't have to hire someone like me. They can literally go and get a sage stick and say, okay, let me try this. You light the sage stick and you just go into each room. Make sure you go over doorways, especially the front door, because that's where we're bringing the world from the outside in, and we want to leave it out the doorstep. So we cleanse the door. So you do that. Other things you may want to do is put salt around the foundation of the home, especially if people are really worried about a lot of negative energy. You know, let's be honest here. Some people pass away in homes, yes, and energy can get stuck. Spirit activity absolutely can be felt in homes, and people get frightened by this, and I totally understand that. So you can put salt around the foundation of the home, front doors, and things like that. You can do holy water. You can light candles. There's all sorts of ways to absorb energy. I like to tell people to put a bowl in a room that you're concerned with. Say Grammy died in the back bedroom and you're concerned about some of the energy. And so you put a little bit of salt in there. Leave it alone. When you walk, say give it 24 hours. Is the salt still white, or does it take on a gray color? Does it turn a color? Salt absorbs negative energy. That's why when we take a bath, Epsom salt, yes? Because it absorbs and it just draws out the toxins in our bodies. So salt, water, and sage stick, the sage stick, or you can do oil too. Sage oil, if you don't want to do smoke, is perfectly acceptable as well. So I would definitely recommend a couple of those.
And with that shifting of energy, I've also heard the bringing in of abundance and that flow into your workspace or your home environment. Is that something that could be said as true as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Financial abundance, emotional abundance. Absolutely. And that's the point. And if someone were to say, why do you love your job so much? It's because I help people. I love to ask someone, how can I help you? What can I do for you? So if I can do something that will shift your energy in either your home, in your business, just in your personal life, then that's a win-win. That's a win-win. So that's why I'm happy to pair up with you, Autumn. And hopefully we will meet lots of different clients and change lots of different lives for the better. So absolutely. Do we benefit? Yes, but my eye is on the client. It's on how can I help you? How can I get your life to be financially abundant and emotionally abundant?
And I'm right there with you when it comes to helping my clients. So
Yep.
it's definitely beneficial to team up with you and make sure that we are serving our clients well. So thank you so much for joining me today, answering all of these questions. It's been a pleasure to talk with you. And if you guys have further questions that you would like answered, you can reach out to me or Susan, and we would love to help you. I hope you have a great day. Take care.
Thanks, Autumn.
Thank you.